What's up, guys? Hanging out here with Doug, getting ready to record a podcast. Another day living the life.
Okay.
Yes, Doug?
How do we come back from that? That is actually a great question that all of the manufacturers that we're about to talk about are asking themselves right now, not the least of which Jaguar, but also Porsche and Stellantis and Aston Martin, and by golly, there are some really terrible results this quarter for a lot of the luxury manufacturers and some of the EV manufacturers. Rivian, whoo-wee. So yikes. Let's talk about them. I know Jaguar is a huge buzz right now. It is the hot topic. Yeah, I mean, that kind of looks like where they got their outfits for the commercial, honestly.
Whoa, are you disparaging Hot Topic, Doug? I used to shop there. Get pants with so many buckles and chains on them, they wouldn't even know what to do with yourself. My gosh. That is insulting my childhood right there. But so what do you, but I'm curious, we don't want to sit on this too much because it is what everybody's talking about. What do you think of the Type 00 or the Type 0, whatever they're called?
Okay, right. So the actual car, which
came way after the commercial.
Right. The commercial had nothing to do with the car, but Jaguar makes cars. Well, they're not going to for a year, but they made cars and they will make cars again. But they just aired their new concept, which looks like it was built in Minecraft.
Yep.
Yep. Although I didn't realize this, I thought it was just a crappy like 3D generation. But yeah, there's like a real mock-up of it shown, and some people had reasonable things to say about it. But yeah, it's a concept car. It's not going to look anything like what happens in reality. But if it looks anything like the concept, it's going to be absolutely, well, less ridiculous than a Tesla Cybertruck, I guess. But you know, I'm not trying to send you elsewhere from this glorious content you're watching right now, but Harry's Garage did a great video, in my opinion. He went to see it be unveiled, and he has got a lot of good opinions about the car. But what I don't understand is this all feels to me like a bunch of marketing people got together and said, this is how you make a splash. And that's literally all that they tried to do, because everything about the car is just confusing. Well, and their strategy for actually selling cars is difficult. Before we get there, let's stick on the commercial just a little bit more. But one might guess that their target demographic, based on the recent ad, is Subaru buyers that maybe had some investments pay off. Maybe. There's a rule that says there's no such thing as bad publicity, or saying, and that may be at play here, but I don't know that gossip actually sells cars. It certainly didn't. The crazy thing is, though, Tata Motors stock, I have to make sure I say motors after the first part of that.
Oh, yep. Uh-huh.
That company's stock has gone up since the ad was released, in contrast to Anheuser-Busch's massive loss after their equally controversial marketing experiment.
I think there are just continually data points that go to show you that the market is disconnected from reality in a lot of ways a lot of the time. Look at this. It's riding the I don't even want to say hype. It's riding the craze. Like, oh my God, what are they going to do? What's going to happen?
The craze for what?
Whatever the heck they were going to reveal after that wild commercial.
They probably should have had something to reveal. I was worried that they were going to reveal some things in the commercial that I didn't want to see. But, let's see, though, their strategy. How is this going to work? Jaguar says, we are going fully EV, only electric vehicles, and they're trying to move up market. So $150,000 plus hyper luxury EVs.
So they're cutting their pool of buyers significantly.
After
Okay. So
after they take a year off to transition reinvent themselves.
Okay.
As a company.
Yep.
Yes.
So they're not going to be making any cars to sell for a year while they're spending all this money designing a new thing. And then they're going to move up market to try to sell to a smaller group of people who potentially are already served by other vehicles.
Correct. Already very much served. So much so that, drum roll, all the other manufacturers who are making quite a bit of money, but are making less money since they tried to go luxury EV and are backpedaling on that, are now looking at their balance sheets going, oh, gee, this is not so good. Well, their P&Ls, not their balance sheets, but both. So Porsche's Q3 reports are not good. Profits are way down. Stellantis, obviously. Lotus is doing terribly, partly because of their stinking Chinese rebadged SUV that they're selling. And just today, Lotus has announced that they're essentially backpedaling on the EV thing. So they're going back to internal combustion. Porsche, after their Q3 reports came out, said, we're going back to internal combustion, right? They said, 718, Macan, those are going all EV. Just kidding.
Well, maybe we'll still sell a couple more, if it's what the people actually want.
Whew. I don't know that strategy is going to work so well.
Well, and what I don't, I want to clarify something here if there's some new listeners. We rag on a lot of EV stuff all the time. I personally believe luxury EVs are not the answer. Like, we need affordable transportation for people, not just toys for the uber wealthy. But also, EVs are not going to be the only answer. So why do we keep acting as if they are?
And they could be the wrong answer.
Yeah,
I believe in alternative energy. I believe in clean and renewable energy. I don't think lithium-ion batteries are the way to go. They could be, but this idea that they have to be is crap. And I love that the free market economy is responding to this and going, nope, we don't want them. The $150,000 plus luxury EVs from Porsche, from Audi, from everyone are depreciating so fast.
It's
There's a study
scary.
on, I can't remember now where, I think it was Motor One, but there's a study that I read that said EVs are depreciating 6 times faster than their internal combustion counterparts. And you, listen, Jaguar Land Rover's financials are actually pretty good. Now, they may be propped up by Land Rover because Jaguar is not selling very many cars, but their financials year over year are actually better than Porsche's and better than most of their competitors. So I don't think that's the right time to go, let's lean into what has screwed over our competitors and they are now backing away from.
And also do it in such a way that you actively try to abandon all brand heritage and history and everything else. Like, the fact that they changed literally everything about how this car is presented and badged is kind of, but they made it, the side profile looks like an E-Type, because in the E-Type, in front of the and ahead of the hood, the bonnet, whatever you want to call it, there is a square or there's like a rectangular piece that the seams make. That's on this concept. So they're like, we want to abandon the past and bring it to the future, but we're still going to reference it a little bit, but maybe not a lot. And then we're going to change all. It doesn't make any sense.
Their marketing department is abandoning the past. Their designers
are like, well, okay,
maybe
let's
not
try
so much. I don't want to talk anymore about their commercial, but I would just say if we're talking about economics here, taking lessons from other companies, won't get into the politics of the commercial itself, but as Anheuser-Busch learned, when you double down on a certain type of political statement as a quote unquote neutral corporation, it will alienate a significant portion of your demographic of buyers. Now, people can say that that's bigoted or narrow-minded or small-minded or whatever. Fine. Call those people whatever you want if they are choosing to make choices with their money based on their personal values. We all do that every day. Whether or not those personal values are right or wrong, they still have the right to make those choices with their wallet. And if you as a company are focused on making money, it's a dangerous thing to lean heavily into a certain type of political statement that could alienate even more buyers than your actual vehicular design and strategy and pricing would.
And I think they're going to... Luxury only is just wild. And regardless of what it looks like or anything else, just in a time where you're trying to revitalize a company, narrowing your pool of buyers even a little bit seems like a wild decision. But maybe they know something I don't know. I don't run a car company. I'm sitting here talking into a microphone with my friend. So,
well, neither does the CEO of Stellantis anymore. He just
what a transition.
Yep, which is good because let's see, Alfa Romeo is selling. The average Alfa dealer, according to Motor One, is selling 7 cars per month.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yep, they're part of Stellantis. Man, Jeep salesmen everywhere are wondering how they sell so many cars. No, it's bad for Stellantis, really, really bad. So, and they own a lot of pretty crappy brands right now. So, let's see how all of that works out.
Do we think Chrysler's finally going to kick the bucket and make the Pacifica something else?
That's
like
a good question.
Dodge.
That's a good question.
The Alpha
There's
Pacifica.
Not gonna be much left under the Dodge umbrella.
No, yeah. The Ram Pacifica. Put dualies on the back. Something that I saw a lot across articles talking about earnings from all of these manufacturers is slowing China demand.
Yes.
That is
by large percentages.
Huge percentages.
Yes.
And there's a lot of reasons that could be talked about, but that is, I did not realize how heavily all of these manufacturers were leaning into the Chinese market.
Yes, very much so. China became Porsche's #1 customer, I believe, last year. But now that they're down, I think it was 22%. It's either 22 or 12, significant number. U.S. is now the #1 customer of again. Transitioning a little bit, not talking about Jaguar still, but let's see, Rivian, speaking of luxury EVs, right? So Rivian is a company who has built their foundation on luxury EVs, which Jaguar is trying to do. I love this recap from the SSO report, and this is a fantastic resource if you want to get really high-level analysis of all these quarterly reports. We are just giving a sarcastic little flyover of all of this, but this guy really digs in. I love reading his stuff. It's a great resource. So SSOreport.com. Okay, so he's talking about Rivian. It has just been announced that the U.S. Department of Energy will make a $6.6 billion loan to Rivian Automotive to build a factory in Georgia.
Whoa.
The Ron Swanson to me is going, why is the government loaning a private company money, right?
Is there something they need from Rivian? Like, I know Rivian is making the Amazon delivery vans and what?
I don't know. So he says this is the same factory on which construction was halted earlier this year when Rivian ran into financial issues. But if you remember, if you're an avid listener of the podcast or you just read any news, Volkswagen Group pledged to invest $5.8 billion earlier this year into a joint venture with Rivian. So we've got $12.5 billion coming from Volkswagen and U.S. Department of Energy. The new Georgia factory is slated to have an initial production capacity of 200,000 vehicles per year when it opens in 2028, rising to 400,000 by 2030.
Are that many people going to be buying Rivians?
I'm so glad you asked. Rivian currently operates one major factory in Normal, Illinois. The Normal facility currently has capacity. Sorry, sidetrack. Jaguar will never produce cars at a Normal factory.
I thought we were done with Jaguar, Doug.
It currently has capacity to produce 200,000 vehicles annually. Their current factory has the capacity to produce 200,000 vehicles, but
why do they need more?
The government loaned them $6.6 billion so they can build this factory in Georgia because, they want to expand to up to 600,000 vehicles per year. But according to Rivian's Q3 earnings, Rivian posted a loss of $1.1 billion in the third quarter, and it's so far lost $4 billion this year. So they've lost essentially all of Volkswagen's money this.
Wow.
Year to date, they've delivered 37,000 vehicles.
Well, that is a whole digit off.
Yup.
Wow.
Up just 3% from last year. Production volume is down 36,749 vehicles because Rivian has been working off excess inventory from 2023 when Rivian overproduced 7,110 vehicles.
What could be the possible need for another factory?
Good question. Really good question. I love this summary. Based on Rivian's year-to-date 3% growth rate, assuming it continues, they will not run out of capacity at the normal facility for 125 years.
Look, they're just trying to get ahead. They're trying to be prepared. In 2130, when everybody's buying Rivians, I gotta admit though that the R3 or whatever the little like compact SUV looking thing is, that thing looks pretty sick.
Yeah,
I like that. Maybe they're going to produce a ton of those, and they'll be $20,000, so everybody can afford them, and it'll be the people's EV, right? Right?
Yeah, no. It's just, man, these brands are just shooting themselves in the foot. Listen, I was incredibly, terribly, horribly wrong about Carvana stock. I will admit that. I've admitted it multiple times. However, boy, have I not been wrong about EVs. I wish there was a way I could have bet financially on that.
And it's so interesting to hear that at the same time that we're hearing that the Euro 7 regulations are going to kill the naturally aspirated GT3 from Porsche. And like, we're trying to figure something out. We haven't quite gotten there yet, but this is a wild time to be paying attention to cars.
It really is. I think the word that sums it up is artificial. Instead of just listening to demand and doing good engineering, right? So I had this, I got to finish that sentence and then I'll go to my rant. Can't do both at the same time. These companies are leaning into a policy, an idealist mentality, right? We want this to be true about green energy. It is not true yet, but if we keep pouring billions and billions of dollars into it, it will become true, but it may not, right? I'd rather just engineers do really good engineering things. What if we had diesel series hybrids in cars? We might be getting 100 miles to a gallon. I was lamenting that we bought a 4-cylinder turbo mid-size SUV that's supposed to be like economic efficient, right? We didn't buy one of the Luxo barge things. We just took a road trip and we averaged like 22 miles to the gallon on the highway. 22. I'm thinking
my Porsche does better than that.
This is 2024. People were getting 22 miles a gallon 300 years ago, right? Like I should be getting 100 miles to the gallon. This is crazy. Oh, it's the oil companies. They're making sure this happens. No, if the engineers would work on cars instead of batteries, like, or trying to like meet governmental regulations, maybe we could get somewhere.
And that's where I get so excited about the e-fuels or the sustainable fuels that Porsche has invested so heavily in and other companies are doing. Like, that's the stuff that gets me excited because it's a way for me to, take better care, ideally, of the environment I live in while still enjoying the stuff I love. And so I wish that, and maybe this stuff is going on and we just don't hear about it, but I wish that, like Doug said, the engineers could just create great things that make sense and improve upon those things and have the freedom to, maybe it is develop battery technology to surpass EVs, but then some other companies working on sustainable fuels and another company is working on these diesel serial thingamajiggers that he talked about. Like, there's options. I love options.
What if the Department of Energy had given Porsche $5.6 billion? Like they developed, I think they spent $100 million on their zero emissions fuel. What could they do with $5.6 billion in spare cash? Instead, they're building a factory. How much emissions is happening building that factory with all the diesel trucks and equipment that's spouting black fumes to build this factory that isn't going to get used? Come on. Okay, we're running out of time. It is time for the props and flops, brought to you, of course, by Switchcars.
And Switchcars is the enthusiast dealership where we buy, sell, and consign only cars that we like ourselves. Check out our handpicked inventory at thebeautifulswitchcars.com and mention Switchcast for special pricing. You can visit switchcars.com or visit our showroom.
That was my cue.
No, I just paused because I was got to get my reading glasses again. You can visit switchcars.com or our showroom in beautiful Twinsburg, Ohio. And Doug, what is the pick of the week from the Switchcars inventory?
The pick of the week is a 2008 Porsche GT3 RS finished in orange, not signal
so
orange,
good.
17,500 miles. Steel brakes, full leather, orange stitching, clean history. Zero paintwork, all original. Had it sold today.
Yeah.
The guy signed contracts yesterday, said he was going to wire money today, and then he said he couldn't get insurance. It's an interesting excuse, and it seems contracts don't mean anything anymore, but whatever. That is available. Our flop of the week, speaking of Stellantis, Stellantis is selling its 4,000-acre proving ground in Arizona. Still keeping the one in Detroit, but there's still jokes. They're selling their testing grounds. So, why bother testing their cars, right? Like, can't have a proving grounds if it proves that your products are crap. No, nothing. That's it. All right. Stellantis should put their CEO through more rigorous testing, then maybe their cars would survive too.
That was it.
Although he's out today. I just wrote that joke before I found out he resigned. So anyway.
How about we dip into the Switchcast war chest to purchase us a 4,000-acre proving ground? Where's the podcast money, Doug?
That would be pretty awesome. Our prop of the week. General Motors, which has been lobbying for quite a while to get a Formula One team and was denied, finally got approved to run an F1 team. So they will be the 11th team on the grid out of a possible 12. Corvette enthusiasts unite. Your C5 will finally have the same provenance that a Ferrari does, thanks to almighty provenance. Because
that's what I'm talking about. As a newly minted Corvette guy, I love this news. This makes me very happy. Do they have pace cars in F1? Can we do a Corvette pace car for the
bring
F1?
It back?
Yeah.
I don't think they'll go that far. And it's Cadillac. Cadillac is a team, so it's not really Chevy.
Okay. Well, we could still have like a CTSV Blackwing pace car or something. That would be pretty sick. I'm
pretty excited. Cadillac makes some awesome stuff, and their V cars are amazing. So, I think this will be exciting to see. Thank you for joining us for Switchcast with Doug Tabbitt and Tyler Sanders, produced by Ethan Huffnagel. Switchcast is an automotive entertainment and opinion show, and nothing we say should be taken very seriously. We do not give tax, investment, legal, emotional, or professional advice, and the only licenses we hold are driver's licenses. The opinions expressed on this show are exclusively held by the people pontificating at that moment and do not reflect the values of our producers or sponsors. Our theme music is provided by Emily and Ivory. You can stream their full album on Spotify or SoundCloud. If you like this show, you can stream it in its entirety on your favorite audio podcast platform. Check out switchcast.live for more info.